Hey guys, this is Corey back again, and let's talk about two movies I saw in the theater: Beetlejuice, and Speak No Evil. Now, Beetlejuice came out a few weeks ago, and I totally forgot to review it because, like I said, I just do this kind of for a hobby. I don't do this for anything else besides that. Really, I think it's just kind of fun to say my words on here, even if I'm not as good of speaking with this kind of thing, if that makes sense. But Beetlejuice is the sequel, of course, to Beetlejuice from 1988. And I rewatched the original Beetlejuice before I saw this movie, and I really, really like the original Beetlejuice. And it's been a number of years since I've watched it. I had kind of just forgot about it, honestly, and not in a way where I disowned it or anything. It's just I forgot how good it was, and I just hadn't watched it in a long time. And I'm really thankful that this sequel did come out to show me how great of a movie the original movie was. I love the original. It's just a lightning in a bottle, like weird, bizarre movie that you can't really say has been replicated that in that way, if that makes sense, as a movie. A couple that move, or a family that moves into a house after two people die and are ghosts, and get a ghost exorcist to try to get the humans out of their house. That's a plot that I don't see much, and I really like that. I thought that, like I said, just everything about the original is great. Michael Keaton is, of course, great. Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin are, of course, great. Everybody involved, Catherine O'Hara, Jeffrey Jones, Winona Ryder, all great members of that movie. And I really loved how unique the original was. So going into the second one, I was really hoping that I wouldn't dislike it because, it's been, whatever it did say, 36 years since the original movie. And Tim Burton has not made a movie that he has really enjoyed for a while in terms of movie making, because Disney kind of burnt him out on that and their way of making movies recently, in the past like 4 or 5 years. So with that movie Dumbo, it kind of made me feel annoyed with Tim Burton movies. And also I heard Tim Burton didn't really like that movie either. So it's funny to see that we kind of thought alike in that way. Because Tim Burton has not been as much Tim Burton in a while, and he hasn't really made anything really memorable or great in a while. Like I said, since like the early 2000s ish, I guess, because he had a couple after that. Like Big Eyes was good, and Big Eyes is not a horror movie, but it was kind of Tim Burton-esque, but it was a good movie, good made movie. But like I said, Tim Burton has not made anything really interesting to me, or that interesting, in the past while. And going into this, that made me kind of nervous. I was like, am I gonna like this? I'm gonna dislike it. I gotta say right here, I really loved it. I thought Beetlejuice was awesome, and as a sequel, it really is fun, and it really never skips a beat since the original movie. It really keeps that authenticity that the original movie kept. It's so funny. It's so creepy and bizarre in a funny way. It's just a dark comedy like the original one. The plot of this is that Lydia's grandfather has died, or Lydia's father has died, and Astrid, played by Jenna Ortega, that's her grandfather. The matriarch of the family has died before the movie starts, and they all go back to the Maitlands' house from the original Beetlejuice. And of course, chaos ensues, and Beetlejuice is brought back because Lydia is having these hallucinations of Beetlejuice still haunting her. And I think that's great. And I'm not going to go super into the plot because I honestly think that you should see this one. I really liked it, and I thought it had some pretty good surprises. So whatever I say from now on in this video is going to be pretty vague in a way for the most part. First off, like I said, Michael Keaton hasn't changed since the original movie. That's awesome. Really didn't feel like any time has passed. You've got Winona Ryder, who is great as well, and she really doesn't feel like, even though she's grown as a human, she feels like she steps right into the shoes of Lydia Dietz. I think that's awesome. And Jenna Ortega, who is in everything right now. And I really like Jenna Ortega in movies. She's awesome. She's good in this movie, and I really thought it was cool having the granddaughter thing. And a lot of movies are doing this, where like they're generational, like sequels, which I'm fine with because this one I think did a good job with it. Um, I liked her character a lot. I like that there's a story between her and the between Astrid, Jenna Ortega's character, between Astrid and this boy in town, and it's like it seems kind of generic, and then the movie kind of flips it on your head in a cool way where you're like, oh, that's a cool way to go. Not what I expected in terms of the plot, and this movie does do a good job of keeping the plot interesting. Like it is not a unique movie because of course you got the first one, but this one does have a few moments where it does kind of turn you on your head with the plot progression where you're like, oh, this is going to be interesting where this is going now. Now I will say this, I really thought that the new main characters in this I liked a lot, but I felt like if you're looking at it as a movie, these characters really were pointless. And again, it's not really a spoiler because these characters are in the movie, but Monica Bellucci, is that her name? The one who Tim Burton is dating, the one who has the stitched up face, has a great introduction, awesome introduction in the movie. As well as Willem Dafoe's character, who is a dead guy, who's dead in the underworld, and he played a cop when he was alive, so he is a undead cop, and I think that is really funny. But these two characters, it's like there's so many things in this movie that to the point where it kind of just was quickly resolved at the end, which I guess is not like a huge complaint. It's just something I needed to point out that like if you're a critic, you're gonna be like, oh, these characters kind of don't really have a purpose. But besides that, the actors involved make them have a purpose even though they don't need one in terms of the plot progression. I thought that was interesting. This movie is really overstuffed. More than the first movie. Way more than the first movie. But I still enjoyed every minute of it. I honestly thought that this movie should have been longer. I thought that this movie should have been an extra 15 minutes. It was an hour and 45 minutes, and I usually never say that about movies like this. This should have been longer. And I really enjoyed it despite that, but like I still thought it was a great movie. I really did enjoy Beetlejuice. This was very fun and very enjoyable. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I can say about it? Oh, I thought it was hilarious that Jeffrey Jones, real life sex offender, is not in this movie, but they write around that very interesting and funny in a funny way, and I really liked how they don't have the actor in the movie, but they really make that character put in a way where he still exists, but he doesn't, if that makes sense. Like I think that's very funny, just showing off how you can keep breathing life into this character even though the actor's not there. I thought that was hilarious. And Catherine O'Hara in this, I've got to say, is just, I haven't watched Schitt's Creek, but I hear that she's great in that. But I always love Catherine O'Hara and everything, and she's genuinely so funny in this. She's of course like the last time. She does art, and she does art museums where like she has all this obscure weird art, and she's very uppity but very funny and so very like whiny and undependable in a funny way, and I really enjoy that about her. She plays this character very well. Just the performance is hilarious. And trying to think if there's anybody else, actors that I didn't mention, but I really liked all the characters in this. I thought I really enjoyed, even though, like I said, some of them didn't really have to be there, but they still made it visually pleasing and visually interesting with these performances that I can sweep that under the rug, because I really did love this movie. I thought it was really fun. Really had a good time with Beetlejuice. And the second movie I'm going to talk about is Speak No Evil, which is a remake of the 2022 Danish horror movie called Speak No Evil. And it's funny because I watched that movie a couple weeks ago before I watched this Speak No Evil. And I loved it. I thought it was great. It is hard to watch. That movie is brutal, dire, and just like the Danish don't fuck around with like these kind of movies. It was hard to watch the original Speak No Evil in a good way. I really loved it. And then we got this remake which just came out 2 years after that movie, and I was really, really apprehensive going into this because it came out 2 years ago and they already remade it in America, and you would think that that's just there. It's just there to be a cash grab, and I know that every movie is a cash grab. Most people are making these for money, but an Americanized version of this. But the thing I really loved about Speak No Evil, the American version, is that the first 2/3 of the movie are a straight up remake of the Danish version, but then the third act goes totally a different route. And I'm not going to say what it is, but I just want to point out that it is different. Um, but Speak No Evil is about this couple and their kid who encounter another couple with their kid, and they go on a trip to stay at said other couple's house, and then crazy stuff starts happening where these people that they hardly know start acting crazy and go and escalate in a way where it's terrifying where these characters are going, and they're very manipulative, mind manipulation with these characters. James McAvoy is in this, and that's one of the biggest things that pulled me towards this movie, because James McAvoy is a fantastic actor, and I will see him in anything. I think he's really great. He's excellent in this movie, like genuinely one of the best things. And I love this movie, this remake too. Already, spoilers. I already love this movie. James McAvoy is fantastic in this. His wife's really good too. The character his wife plays. But Mackenzie Davis, who is an actress that I have seen in, she was in Terminator. What was that last one? Was it Genesis? I forget the Terminator names because they're all kind of forgettable. But the last Terminator, where she's like a lady Terminator, and she's really tall, but she has like the short bowl cut in that movie. Mackenzie Davis is an actress that I haven't seen much of, and I thought in this movie she was excellent. I think that she really pulled off a lot of different emotions in this movie, and watching it you'll see just how she and her husband are very flawed characters, and they make it really interesting with this being a slow burn thriller where these characters are not innocent characters. They're not crazy like the people that they went to stay with, but they have issues that you really delve into and stay very interesting throughout the movie and progress in a way where it connects to the plot with the mind manipulation and how James McAvoy and his wife are insane. And I love that. I think that's great. And I think all these performances are almost top notch. Great performances. I loved all of them in it. I can't say anything else besides that because the ending of the movie is so different, and that's all I'm gonna say. To the original movie, like it's not the same. It's like an alternate kind of take on what the original Danish movie did. It's totally different at the end. But which one would I recommend more? It's hard because I think the ending goes for it, like in terms of being like it doesn't hold back. But in this movie, it doesn't hold back either in a different way, if that makes sense. Again, no spoilers. It's just totally different. I don't know which one I'd recommend more, but I really loved both of them, honestly. I think that both of them were very fascinating thrillers. And even though, like I said, the first two acts of each movie are very straight up similar, you get something different with each of these two movies. So I'd say watch both of these personally. I really liked them both, and some people might like this movie or hate this movie, this remake, because of how different it is at the end. But I love both of them. I like that we got two different movies with two different outcomes. That's great. Two different sets of stories. So you can't just say it's a straight up remake, like say like the Psycho remake with Vince Vaughn or something. It feels like that for the first two acts, where it's like almost shot the same, acted or lines are the same almost, not completely. It's definitely different because there are different translations through how these people act compared to being a Danish movie versus an American movie. It's definitely got some different things to it, but it has a lot of straight shot to shot, line for line moments in it for the first two acts. But I still recommend both of them. I think both of them are really fantastic. I think that they both fall in different categories, but definitely watch them both. It's definitely a cool double feature to watch both of them, I'd say, at once, because you're not getting the whole exact same movie again. That's what's awesome. And I saw this trailer, like, I go to the movies at least twice a month, maybe 3 or 4 times a month, depending on how many new movies come out that I want to see right away. But every trailer or every movie this trailer was in front of it for the past like 5 months. So like I got tired of the trailer, and they did one trailer, then they did a second trailer, but I saw that trailer like a billion more times. So I was sick of the trailer, but I'm glad that the movie still delivered in a way where I liked it a lot. Not liked it a lot. I loved it. I thought it was really really fun. Really fun movie. Like I said, I definitely recommend both the original version and this version, but it's definitely worth it for me personally. So yeah, I really loved it. I thought it was awesome. Two movies I really loved at the theater this time. So that is pretty much all I could say. I guess I'll do another video sometime soon. Thank you guys. This is Corey signing out.